Hey there, it's Alexander Petty with the Ravenswood Academy. Hope you're staying safe and sound amidst all of this COVID-19 craziness. I thought it was a shame that the libraries and museums have closed down, so let's go ahead and take a look at some art together.
All right, here we go. I have no idea what to expect because it's been so long since I dug these out, but I have my butler gloves on, so you know it's legit. All right, let's take a look. A Niev Herbal, so 2 V's in a row for the W. A New Herbal or History of Plants. Rembert Dodoens, translated in English, 1578. Wow, 400 years ago. So these pages were around during the American Revolution. Way old. Okay, let me do this actually. Wow, look at that. Beautiful art. So each one of these illustrations is carved into a block of wood. Each one of these letters are carved into a block of wood, movable type, and they're all woodblock printed. They're printed onto the page, which means you have to carve the letters backwards, by the way. So that way when you print with them, they'll show up the right way on the page. What do we have here? Woundwort, knight's woundwort. Wart's like a word for plant or like weed or just, generic plant word. The first book, F or an S right there. And you can read through this. The same boiled in wine and drunken is very good against, you can read this because of the continuity of the English language. The color was added later by someone else. Who that was, we don't know. Maybe someone in the 1700s, a housewife just coloring. Maybe someone in the 1970s, coloring these up and then selling them. Who knows? No idea, but the color was added later. The kinds, Old English word, description. So different names, Latin name, English names. I'm surprised they don't have the Greek name up there, or at least I don't see it. There's these degrees or natures, like the humors. The virtues, what is it good for? Wow. Very interesting. At least it is to me. Okay. So you see the time, so this herbal, when can I go gather this plant? Okay, in March and April. The wild also doth flower in April and afterwards. I feel like I'm reading Chaucer again. Yeah, see, there's a Greek name. Italian, French, wow, this one's all over the place. Called in shops Violoria. So you've got the time it blooms, the names, sometimes the etymology. Wow. A little story there about how the plant was named. The temper, so that they're basing all their medicine off of hot or cold. So like if you have the chills and you have a bunch of phlegm, you would want a hot plant like ginger or something that would like cut through the phlegm and warm you. And some of that stuff does work, just not for the reasons they thought. It's not the 4 humors, and it's other stuff going on. The virtues, what it's good for. Decoctions, syrup, pounded and laid on like a poultice, and there's all sorts of cures, which some of them worked, some of them didn't, some of them, in between, like they might have fixed your symptoms, but they might not have cured underlying what was happening for you. The second part of the history of plants. Very interesting. The big capital letters, I always like that. These aren't, super ornate, but still add something when the page is like that far away and you can see it. Okay, the marshmallow. That's right, the marshmallow. Marshmallows used to be, this plant, this mallow that used to grow in the marshes. And they would cut up the roots and they would candy them, like, boil them in sugar or whatever. It's sad that I know all this, but those were lonely times. All I had to do was study. Time it blooms, the names, the nature, the virtues. There it is again. So, marshmallow. Very pretty. I mean, it's not, it's not the most beautiful painting we've ever seen, but it's still, there's a nice aesthetic about it all. They talk about drying it, making a tincture. Leaves are good for all the greases aforelaid. Wow. And some of these plants have changed. They've been crossbred so much that they don't have the original chemical properties. So by the way, if you're surprised that some of these cures actually worked, just think of these plants as a bundle of unique chemicals, and sometimes they were antiviral and antifungal, and other times it didn't work though. Other times it was charlatan stuff. Poppies, the horned poppy. So that's a beautiful page right there. Of course, we know what this is. I mean, the poppy, that's where morphine comes from, so we know that this actually worked to a degree. There's this crazy, some of these descriptions go into crazy detail, and sometimes these were plants that I guess this one's from England. It's been so long since I looked at this, but this was probably from England. Some of this stuff they described because they had firsthand. Others, someone would just bring them a dried specimen, and they just do their best, and it was literally from the other side of the world. They'd kind of like rehydrate it and try and jasmine. I never liked the taste of jasmine, so they have jasmine and green tea. I never liked it that much, but if you do, it's a-okay. We can like different things. Description, cures. This is for the previous plant, whatever that was. It is likewise good to be laid to the inflammation of the eyes and all other hot infirmities, and specially against St. Anthony's fire or wildfire, which I guess is some sort of sickness that they had back then. I can't believe I can read that. I mean, anyone can if they read English, but I guess it just comes natural because of all the KJV from the youths. Okay. Oh, chamomile. Very nice. People drink chamomile tea to this day for relaxation and insomnia. Let's see if they mention that. So here's our place, our Greek name. Let's take a look. It sooth of the belly, the dead fruit. Let's see. It is of the like virtue if one do bathe in a bath of the same decoction. People still take chamomile baths. It causeth women to have their terms. Well, which some of these, I don't know about that, but some of these plants actually could. There's all sorts of crazy stuff they can do. Poison, cure, etc. Colic, the pain in the bowels and the belly, so you boil it in wine and you drink it. Yeah. I don't see anything offhand about sleep, but it might be in there, it might be not. I mean, there's so much in here. These books were literally like this thick. So this is page number 374. So, this is These were huge, thick books. Some of these cures we might already know about, some we might not know about yet. Look at that vine. Isn't that a cool shape there? That'd be such a cool decorational motif, those little pumpkin-looking things, and then there's some detail there. That is nice. Very cool. More the same, all these categories. The whole virtues thing, and especially the whole humors, you know, that you had these four, people thought you had these four liquids in you, this different balance. You had this yellow stuff like phlegm. You had, you were sanguine, you were blood. There's still a lot of sayings related to that, like your sense of humor, whether you'll find something funny or not. If you get mad easily, your sense of humor, or what's another one? You know, makes my blood boil. I mean, all that stuff. It's in Shakespeare. It's in the Greeks. Hippocrates, etc. Happy little tree there. Some Bob Ross action. Crazy. That's a nice little layout, isn't it? I mean, this was a medical textbook, but essentially it's also something kind of aesthetically pleasing nowadays, because I mean, look at the shape of that tree. Isn't that a cool decorational motif potentially? Some peas or something right there. And of course the script, you know, that's just so pretty, so interesting, at least to me. You know, they talk about Galen says that this, you know, grows somewhere else. Discordes, you know, they were referencing these people so long after they died. On the one hand, it shows like Galen's impact, this gladiatorial doctor. On the other hand, it kind of shows their stagnation. I mean, there was experimentation, but not the same as like during the scientific age. Once we get to the 1700s, no scientific method. That is beautiful. Those bulbs right there, you know, got the roots and the shoots and the flowers. Very, very nice. 400 years old, piece of history. And you could spend your whole life studying this kind of history. I don't want to, but you could. There's a lot of depth as to how their medicine worked, and you might be surprised. Like I said, I mean, they weren't idiots. Some of this stuff, like I said, it just didn't work because of charlatans or, you know, mistakes, but others did. There might be if I travel back in time with you, we might get our lives saved by some medieval doctors, because they actually know how to cure using local plants. You know, if you've got a fever, bringing it down or whatever. Plants they can kill you, but they can be extremely good for you. Maybe I need to do some examples. That'd be a cool video, like some examples of how. Oh, Mandrake! There you go, for all the Harry Potter fans out there. Look, it says right here, if you pull it up out of its pod, it's gonna scream at you. Look at that. There's the bloom. Beautiful, beautiful. Black or female mandrake hath likewise no upright stem. His leaves be in like manner. Reading this is just so crazy. You know, the apples be pale, in figure like the whatever that is. I mean, on the one hand, you immediately know what they're saying. On the other hand, there's tons of terms and kind of like details you'd have to look up. White mandrake. Let's see what it does. Dried and taken in a very small quantity, purgeth the belly vehemently. Ooh, that doesn't sound nice. From phlegm. So there you go. You got a lot of phlegm right there. And black melancholic humors, even like the root of black hellebore. Dude, reading this is just so crazy. You know, you're getting inside someone's head who lived 400 years ago. Oh, look, you don't see this with every single one. The danger. It is most dangerous to receive into the body the juice of the root of this herb. For if one take never too little more in quantity than the I don't know, the something proportion, the correct proportion. What's that word? What's that word right there? Tell me in the comments below. Maybe the just, there you go, the just proportion which he ought to take. It killeth the body. Oh, geez. The leaves and fruit be also dangerous, for they cause deadly sleep. Ooh, deadly sleep, a very old world sounding. And peeveth. Peeveth. Wait, is that peeveth? I think that's peeveth. Drowsiness. Like opium. Yeah, dude. So, you know, you run into this in the wild, grind it up, put it in a soup, feed it to your enemies. I mean, people did that. There's all sorts of stories. Poisonous weapons, weapons you can throw, assassin type stuff. Sometimes just mistakes. Sometimes people would dig this stuff up and, you know, try and throw it in a stew and eat it. And, you know, unfortunately, that was it for their times here. Okay. Oh, some beautiful purple here. Some beautiful purple and blue. Someone has probably scanned this herbal in its entirety and put it on an online archive. I'll have to check though if I find something, well, just if I have time, I don't know. Temperaments and virtues, very nice. There's always a different shape, isn't there? There's always a different shape as far as the plants to kind of please and interest and catch your eye. This is just, you know, the stuff I was exploring once upon a time. Crazy. I don't even know why. Well, I mean, I know why, but long story some other time, I guess. In the meantime, beautiful, beautiful art. And all carved out of wood. And not only woodblock print pages, but, you know, something that had, I mean, there's a ton of knowledge. Some of it correct, some of it not correct, but, you know, Greek dictionary stuff, when it grows, where it grows. You know, that takes a lot of time to gather and put together. You know, how long did this book take together? This was the work of tons of people. This is yarrow or milfoil? I think it's milfoil. I can't remember this name for it, but I remember yarrow and achillea. It's named after Achilles because this is supposedly the herb that he uses in the Iliad to treat his friend. And it actually, if I remember correctly, some of the chemicals in here are actually good for open wounds. Now, don't go do this, please, children. Don't ever apply a plant, or else, you know, you're gonna die if you eat some random mushroom in the woods. But, you know, historically, I think there were legit scientific chemical properties that, you know, helped to reduce inflammation or helped reduce infection when you juiced this thing and applied it directly to the wounds. You know, forgive me if I don't recall that off the top of my head, what the actual chemicals in there that were beneficial, but, you know. The first is in Greek. And look, there you go, the Greek characters. So, there's stuff for the linguists, there's stuff for the kind of like historians with the theory of medicine, there's stuff for the artists, how this artwork, it's just so intersectional. I love the intersectional stuff. It's like, it's so stimulating. Okay. Comfrey. Some pretty fine detail for woodblock print carving. The metal, if you engrave with, you know, copper plate, you can do more detail. Wood, you can't do as much detail because it will break on you. You know, you can only carve so fine. Lentils. There you go. Always different vines and shapes. And you probably could use this actually to identify some sort of, you know, a number of these herbs. And they weren't just drawing this stuff for fun. Oh, it's mint. Look at that. Mint. Common mint. I have some growing in my yard. Delicious. Kinds of mint. This page doesn't have the properties. Oh wait, virtues? Oh no, that's something else. This page doesn't have the properties, but I wonder if they talk about it, you know, traditionally used for digestion and stuff like that. Well, thank you so much. That's basically it. What an interesting kind of traipse through history. And let me know in the comment section, I guess, what you would like to see, if you'd like to see more of these, or if it's not really your thing, what you like about these, if you find them beautiful and interesting. And thanks so much for watching. Hope your quarantine is going okay. I hope you're finding some stuff to do that's beneficial. Hope you're hanging in there all right and feeling well. But we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.